All right, welcome back. I just wanted to hop on here and deal with a subject. I won't be too long. At least I'll try not to be too long. I never want to box myself into a certain time frame because this is important. Every video is important. And I want to deal with the the health hazard of dog saliva. I believe dog saliva is probably the most toxic fluid that we know of. And it's a shame that we are the only ones who have discussions like this. This should be discussed on mainstream media. It should all be discussed. Everything we talk about should be discussed on mainstream media. So shout out to everybody who joins me during the live stream and everybody who listens to the content afterwards. A lot of people in the building. Big shout out to everybody. A lot of members in the house. ABQ, Sunny Day, Serena. Everybody's in the building. Let's jump right into this. I see you kittens. Big shout out to everybody. I've been talking about this for years. How nasty it is to exchange bodily fluids with animals in general, but especially dogs. And that's just not coming from me. We're going to look at an article where I believe a doctor pointed out that dog saliva is worse than cat saliva. We'll get into that later, but I'm sure most of you could have figured out dog saliva is more dangerous than the saliva of any other living organism on this planet. And the results bear witness to that from this seat. Now, I hate to be, to sound depressing or negative, but we have to sanitize every public item that we use. Shout out to, what was it? I think maybe We Hate Dogs or maybe Dump Dogs mentioned that everything in society is contaminated. Door handles, the edge of doors where people push. If you have a time clock at your job, a lot of germs and bacteria all over these things. Worst of all, dog saliva, dog dander is all over the body of dog lovers. And they bring that filth into work with them. Now, we know how toxic dog urine is. We know how toxic dog waste is. Have y'all noticed every single bodily fluid, bodily discharge that comes from dogs, it's far more dangerous than what comes from other animals. Even sound. The sound that dogs make is unlike the sound that any other animal makes. Not even hyenas are as bad as dogs barking. These are extremely toxic creatures. And I think this is nature's way of trying to get the intelligent beings on the earth to exterminate mutants. Nature made it so where mutants are very harmful and annoying. Bark, diseases, saliva, amputations, the works. Everything that these things touch is intoxicated. Is saliva of a dog harmful? Now, I was motivated to make this video because of a recent story some of you may have heard about, some maybe not. Shout out to BK Bourne in the building, who's been a member of the channel for 5 months. Yes, I appreciate all of your support very much. I can't even put it into words. There was a story that surfaced here recently about this woman. This woman is begging the doctors to amputate her leg. How many of y'all heard about this story? Let me share it with you now. Okay. This surfaced November 11th. That is today. Just a few hours ago. Woman left with horrific injuries after dog attack begs doctors to amputate limb. Man, oh man. Margaret Rose McGill, age 42, has told how she began developing, listen to this, she began developing the large open wounds around the dog bite site and now lives in constant pain while struggling to walk. Hey, people, it gets a lot worse. About a year after she was attacked, she started to develop these ulcers around the attack area, around her wound. People, a year later, think about that. Some of you may recall that they say if a dog defecates, the parasites in its waste can live in the soil for years through rain and snow. That soil becomes contaminated for years. It looks like the same is true for dog saliva. Pretty much any bacteria, germ, virus that comes from dogs, it festers. It makes a home wherever it is. Think about that. A year? Living in constant pain. She has multiple open wounds on her leg after developing chronic ulcers around the bite site, which began forming around a year after the attack. They said she was speaking through tears. She said, quote, "I've begged the doctors multiple times to take my leg off because I can't keep living like this. I'm terrified that I'll end up with sepsis and die." Okay? Fair warning, these images may be disturbing to some. I'm not going to dwell on them. Here, let me share a link to this article. Sorry about that, but I always have to be careful. I got to be extra careful on YouTube here. Okay, there's the link. I'm gonna go ahead and pin it. How y'all doing this wonderful Friday? It's Friday, people. Time to kick back and relax. She said, "I'm in constant pain, and it really affected my ability to walk. I'm in the doctor's surgery up to 5 times a week to get it dressed, but nothing seems to be working. Think about that. Listen to that. Been going to the doctor all this time and you're still in pain and can barely walk? Doesn't that sound like the doctors are not very informed about the dangers of dog saliva? This is why they call their profession practice. They will never always have a solution. Quite often, these doctors are learning on the job. They run into something, they don't know what it is, pass the antibiotics. Listen to this. She said, quote, "They don't want to go down the route of amputation yet. But if they had amputated my leg 2 years ago and given me a prosthetic, I would be back on my feet. The ulcers started appearing about a year after I was bitten and have never stopped." Listen to that. So when you are attacked by a dog, the most dangerous thing that happens is the saliva from that dog's mouth gets into your womb. And it can still have an effect on your wounds over a year later. You talk about toxic. That's unbelievable. Are you kidding? Something is dangerous and y'all bringing these things into schools across the country, encouraging kids to rub on them. Keep in mind, now, listen to how toxic dog saliva is, just like dog urine and excrement. And it just so happens that saliva, urine, and excrement is present on the dog's dander. So even in microscopic form, we are constantly inhaling this stuff. We have no idea how unhealthy dogs make us, and we won't know until we get them out of our territory. Wow. Chronic ulcers affect around 1 in 500 people in the UK and can form after an injury where high pressure in the veins of the legs have damaged the skin. Some can take months to heal, while some never do. Man, oh man. She says she has 2 heart conditions. 2 heart conditions. She says she's not healthy and she's tired of suffering. So this woman said, chop my leg off. Chop my leg off. That's how dangerous dog saliva is. Now, everything we deal with here is a rabbit hole. Everything is a rabbit hole. And I never think that I know it all. I'm in a constant state of learning. We all are. So I proceeded to do a little more homework. And it dawned on me, this stuff, dog saliva, it should be treated like a viral outbreak. It should be treated like something that none of us should want to come into contact with, especially at a time like now, where you have these different viruses popping up all over the place. They're mutating. There's different versions of them. The last thing we need to be around is toxic fluid like this. And yes, nutters, you're nasty. Your dog licks you. You have saliva all over your nasty hands. And you're nasty, so you don't wash them. Then you walk into public places. You grab a hold of door handles. You touch shopping carts and you contaminate everything. Do you see how much all of us have to suffer because of how nasty you want to live? Don't call me rude or mean. You're being rude and mean. I'm just pointing it out. That is very offensive, man. Now look at what this says here. Dog saliva will likely do little harm to intact human skin, but could lead to irritation or even infections if there are any breaks in your skin barrier. People, don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. Dog saliva likely will do little harm to intact skin. They don't know. They don't know, people. We're going to get into that. Again, this is practice. Now, we all know about Capnocytophaga. Okay? It lives in the mouths of dogs. Now, look at this. The harms of Capnocytophaga bacteria in dog saliva, which can cause severe disease and death in humans. It's commonly found in the mouth of dogs and cats. Now, they're always trying to include cats in this. But yet you never hear about anyone being infected by a cat. Every time you hear about a case of Capnocytophaga, it involves a dog. That should tell you something. Just like many other diseases, infections, you only see them in dogs. Those maggots, you only see them in dogs. Only dog urine kills plant life. Only dog urine found in our water, found in the air we breathe. Notice all the things where it's exclusively dogs. Okay? Is dog saliva worse than humans? This dog nutter source says no. People, you really have to be dense to believe that dog saliva is not any more dangerous than human saliva. And look at what they went on to say. They said a dog's mouth and a human's mouth both contain billions of bacteria, belonging to roughly 700 species. Although we both have bacteria in our mouths, the bacteria in a dog's mouth are mostly different species than the bacteria that inhabit a person. So it's different bacteria. You can't tell me that a dog's saliva is no more dangerous than ours. Especially when you're talking about how dangerous it is for me, which is all that matters. This is foreign saliva. Now, look at this. This was on Pet MD. A dog's saliva is not cleaner than ours. Look at how confused they are here. Now look at this. Again, this is on Pet MD. Look at the first sentence. We do not know very much about all of the bacteria that dogs carry in their saliva. Okay? So, if we don't know very much about all the bacteria in dog saliva, then how can you say that dog saliva will likely do little harm to intact human skin? We don't know. That should worry everyone. Everyone. People with dogs and people without dogs. I'm worried. So we don't know about all the bacteria in the dog's mouth. So why don't we? You had plenty of time to examine their saliva. Why is it a mystery? Just put it under a microscope, run some tests on it. What you confused about? We're highly advanced, super intelligent beings. But yet you confused when it comes to dog saliva. People, that is because dog saliva is too filthy and nasty to examine. Too filthy and nasty to even understand. Obviously. But we do know that the oral microbiome, the bacterial environment, differs greatly between dogs and humans. Differs greatly, and you don't know very much about dog saliva? I can do that math. Keep that saliva out of our society. That is dangerous. It's this type of lifestyle that leads to pandemics, that causes pandemics. Being a nasty, ignorant savage. One study found that only 16.4% of identified microbes are shared between humans and dogs. 16.4%. Anytime you have doctors telling you that they don't know much about something, you better stay away from it. Stay away from it. And it's not just capnocytophaga. As you all know, you can get worms and other parasites. Certain intestinal parasites can be carried in dog saliva. And look at what they wrote here. They said, and though it's rare, they can be transmitted to human. It's not rare. Millions every year. I've gone over that information several times here. Dogs pass millions. This happens to millions of people every year. And this is just the people who are treated. Many people don't even go to the hospital. They just live with those parasites inside their body for years. That is very dangerous. Those are the types of people that should be exiled. You need to be sent away to your own island. You're that dangerous. Wow. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not going overboard by saying that. Y'all need to stay away from sanitized people, from people who value sanitation. Now, they continue. They say dogs are known to lick their anus after defecation and greet each other with a nose to rump greeting. Notice how they said dogs are known to lick their anus after defecation. That's a nasty creature. Most intestinal parasites, wait a minute, did I skip something? Yeah. This means that microscopic bacteria and parasites carried in fecal matter can be present in dogs' mouths and nasal cavities. This is nasty, man. Most intestinal parasites transmitted through a fecal to oral route. Well, dogs eat excrement. They always licking anuses, and then they want to lick your face, and like a big nasty goofball, you all let them. This ain't funny no more. Dog nutters, these are a dangerous, very dangerous group of people. Most intestinal parasites are transmitted fecal fecal to oral route. And more easily, if you have a wound in your mouth. These parasites include Giardia, hookworms, roundworms. They say, luckily, our immune systems and the enzymes in our mouth kill off these infections. But no, we're not going to play that game. You don't even know that much about dog saliva, so you don't know what we're capable of fighting off. I don't want to hear that. Now look at this. Some dog breeds drool more than others. Some dogs drool more than others simply because of their mouth, lip, or facial shape. Do y'all hear that? Look, in dogs with looser skin around their mouth, short muzzles, and large jowls, saliva tends to pool more. So, in other words, the more mutated the dog is, the more likely it is to drool more. How nasty is that? These dogs, they're drooling because their mutated, raggedy skin around their nasty mouth is hanging and sagging, and it just can't keep the saliva in its mouth. That's a true mutant right there. That is a true mutant. Wow. Unbelievable. That's unbelievable. And you can tell that that's not a natural creature, because it would then leave its scent in areas where it might not want to. Wow. Their mouths are not able to contain the saliva produced. Dogs that drool more often: Great Dane, Newfoundland, Saint Bernard, Bull Mastiff, Boxers, a bunch of bully breeds. Man, oh man. They don't even know that much about it. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know, man. Let's stop playing dumb. Now, I tried to stress this so many times. So many times. Look at this. Ex-soldier left fighting for his life after dog slobber infected him. Dog saliva can wind you up like this. Now again, if you remove all of our knowledge, and it's not even, a lot of it's not knowledge, it's propaganda and lies. If the only thing you knew was that some people end up like this after being licked by a dog, we would not tolerate dogs in our society at all. Anything that leaves you in this condition has no business even on this planet. It's things like this is the type of thing that intelligent beings will exterminate other organisms for. When you're this deadly, yeah, they need to be gotten rid of. I don't say that dogs need to be exterminated just because I hate them so much. I've thought this through. What is this? This looked like some type of staph mixed with sepsis and got holes in his legs from saliva. Now I think this is the same guy. Laid up. Saliva from a dog will wind you up like this. Y'all remember this guy, this genius? He had his nose chopped off, which tells you what? He was letting the dog lick him in the face. Can't make this up. You telling me Saliva had people in this state? And then this guy goes right back to touching that same dog. Suicidal. I told you, these people don't care about their life. They don't care about their life. So obviously they don't care about anybody's life. We have to beware of dog saliva, people. The same fluid that caused this to happen to this man is the same fluid that doctors are telling us they don't know too much about. Y'all remember this woman? Same thing. Hands and legs amputated. No thanks. I don't care how rare you say it is. All I have to be is that one person, that one rare person. And I don't want to end up like this. So no thanks. Yeah, I don't want no dog. I don't want to pet your dog. I'm not coming inside of your home or your car. You are dangerous. Dog lovers are dangerous, dangerous people. Right? It's not just the physical safety hazard. It is the health hazard as well, which is also a physical safety hazard. Here's another lady. She died. Okay, her death attributed to infection from a dog lick. Beware of dog saliva. Now, I've shared my theory, and some people don't agree, and that's fine. I don't share my theories to make people agree with me. But I suspect that what we remember as the Black Death in Europe, I believe they were being infected with these same types of diseases that we see today. We got the high technology. We see somebody developing sepsis. Their limbs start to corrode and fall off. We can treat them. We can put a stop to the spread of whatever disease this is. But back during the days where they were not advanced, they didn't know what was causing this. They had no idea. They just knew there was an outbreak. And nobody thought to look at the dogs. Now, as a matter of fact, I read somewhere that during the Black Death in Europe, that in some areas they would attack dogs. There was a small pocket of people who looked toward the dogs and said, hey, that's the cause of this, which always happens. And those were the smart people. Right? I believe they were, and this is why they called it the Black Death. People, this is Capnocytophaga. Look at his limbs. I can almost guarantee you, if we were to resurrect a few people from the past who lived during the Black Death, they would look at this and recognize it. I can almost guarantee you that. Saliva puts a person through this. No thanks. And think, these people, they touch everything. Here's another lady. Had both legs and 6 fingers amputated. What are we talking about? This is not a debate. There's nothing to think about. Stay away from dogs. Sanitize everything you use. Now, I don't know if is this a different lady? But she died. I think it's the same lady. Died from dog saliva. Now, it's not just a case of whether you live or die. These things, their saliva could be making us very sick, because dogs pass saliva to their owners more than they pass any other bodily fluid or discharge. Saliva is most present on a dog lover more than anything else. Dog's not wiping his anus across their face, it's licking people across their face. They lick all over these people's hands. Okay? It's not spraying urine in people's face, it's saliva. And these nasty things, they lick their owners all day and night. And then those same people come to work, go to the grocery store and other places, touching any and everything. A lot of these people are in kitchens somewhere preparing your food. You know how many dog lovers rub on dogs, don't wash their hands, and then proceed to make food? That's why I don't eat out. I will never eat out. No, thank you. No, no, no. I'll eat out if I bring my own food. Yeah. And we wonder where these diseases come from. We start to point at ourselves. We start to think that we're just a bunch of nasty, disease-ridden people or creatures. Not at all. We have effective immune systems. But we're being so reckless and careless. You know, our immune system can only do so much. This was another victim. Man dies from multi-organ failure. That capnocytophaga, it shuts down your organs. Really? Yeah. So it's not just capnocytophaga. It's a bunch of stuff that we don't even know that much about. That's the bad part. We don't know much about this stuff, as they admitted. Now, there was a real good article right here. I'm going to share a link to this. Y'all can check that out. I want to go over it briefly here. Got some madness in this here article. What's the harm? Dr. Niljanadan, maybe an Indian assistant professor, Philadelphia, said in an email that most animals' mouths are host to an enormous oral microbiome of bacteria, viruses, and yeast. What's the rule? What's the rule, people? When they say animals, replace that word with dogs. It's always a substitute for dogs. The doctor says a dog's saliva has proteins that may help cleanse or heal its own wounds. But in a paragraph titled, "Why Not Make Out with Your Pet?" he noted, there are some organisms unique to dogs that we were simply not meant to tolerate or combat. As you all know, there are a lot of infections you can get from a dog that are resistant to antibiotics. Are you kidding? Yeah. This is a health hazard. We need to keep these things out of our territory. And nobody should. This is why I said they're so nasty. We should not even be willing to walk on dog land. It's that contaminated. Some bacteria in dogs' mouths are zoonotic. We know what that is. And they go over some of these bacteria. Now, keep in mind, the dog can pass E. coli to you, salmonella to you, campylobacter. What is this? Clostridium. And who knows what else nasty mutants can pass to you. Oh yeah, it gets worse. It gets worse. Look at this. Should I let my dog lick me at all? Not entirely. When dog saliva touches human skin intact, especially in a healthy person, it's extremely unlikely to cause any problems, as there will be very little absorption. However, a dog's saliva and pathogens can be absorbed more easily through the mucous membranes of a person's nose, mouth, and eyes. There you go. So a person is far more likely to be infected with a whole host of garbage coming from that dog if the dog's saliva comes into contact with a person's mouth, nose, and eyes. And these things are always licking on these people's face. When we see people allowing dogs to lick them in their face, we think to ourselves, that's disgusting. People, it actually is. In fact, it's more disgusting than we've thought. Disgusting and dangerous. Do y'all see how these dog lovers, they create the perfect environment and scenario for diseases and infections to be passed from dogs to humans? It's almost like they've thought this out. How to deliberately infect the human population with dog filth. Okay, so yeah, dog lovers do exactly that. Though illnesses transmitted this way are rare, he said it's best to avoid having your dog lick your face. These dog lovers, that's part of their religion. You're not considered a dog lover if you don't let the dog lick your face. They even gave it a nickname, called it dog kisses. So nasty. You see, this is not just me attacking people just because I want to attack people and be a mean person. This is nasty. It's dangerous. Lord. I'm not going to wait until I'm in a hospital with my arms chopped off, legs chopped off, to tell people about this. Professor at Queen Mary University said he would never let a dog lick his face. Said it is not just what is carried in saliva. He said dogs spend half their life with their noses in nasty corners or hovering over dog droppings. So their muzzles are full of bacteria, viruses, and germs of all sorts. Focusing on dogs. They're always focusing on dogs. It's always dogs, dogs, dogs. When you remember reverse sneezing. Google reverse sneezing. The only thing you're going to see is dogs. Every goofy, backwards infection, ailment, so many are exclusive to dogs. It's telling. Said in the interview, a puppy could have as many as 20 to 30 million roundworm eggs in its intestinal tract in 1 week. What? A puppy could have as many as 20 to 30 million eggs, roundworm eggs in 1 week. And you want to let these things lick you in the face, you idiots. How can you be that nasty? I can understand a person who, they do a little something here and there that's kind of nasty. Well, you deserve a medal. You cannot be a person who values sanitation and be a dog owner. You can't. He said a client's child at his practice lost an eye from a roundworm infection. An eye. Those worms can travel anywhere in your body, people. Go up your anus and come out your nose, come out your eye. It's conceivable that a dog with fecal material in its mouth could transmit an intestinal parasite to a human through licking. Said, but that is rare. No, doctor, no. Because most of these people are not even being treated for it. What's rare is for these nutters to come into the hospital and you actually find it. It's because they're not coming to the hospital. They're just sitting at home being nasty, infecting other people. More commonly, a parasite can be contracted by ingesting contaminated soil. Blah. President Obama even touched on the subject in an interview. Okay. He said he does not let the dogs lick him. He said, because when I walk them on the side lawn, some of the things I see them picking up and chewing, I don't want that. Yeah, dummy. Duh. Now, brace yourself. Brace yourself. I've been saying for a long time that dogs are nastier, filthier than all other animals. There are a lot of things that other animals aren't. Look at this portion of the article. What about, cats? People, this is an article in the New York Times. Look at what it says. Cats do not eat feces. They immediately compare cats to dogs. Immediately. Cats do not eat feces. And humans are therefore unlikely to become infected by parasites from them. According to PetMD. What? Didn't I say cats were far cleaner than dogs? Dogs are so nasty that they have a natural stench. And we all know what dogs smell like. How many more signs do you need? How many more people do you need to see with no arms and legs, with a half a face, because the other half fell off after being licked by a mutt. I started this channel as satire. I said, you know what? This will be funny. Have me a laugh, and I get to talk about dogs in the process. Man, this is a lot. This is very serious. This is not a laughing matter. Very serious. And people need to take this serious. And it's not just cats. Dogs are nastier than every other living organism that ever graced this planet. Shout out to everybody who was able to join me. Slime in the building. Gerard the King. Ashley in the house. Big shout out to everybody. I hope y'all got a fun weekend planned. Mr. Champagne in the building. What's up? Adina in the house. We got Sylvia in the house. Joe Maybe. Serena in the building. Big shout out to Sethwick Baldwin, who has been a member of the channel for 11 months. Right? Shout out to all the members. Inconsiderate, disrespectful mutt nuts need to see the light. And mutts need to be criminalized. Onward, yes sir. Absolutely. Sunny day. This is horrible. Horrible. Now, shouldn't they talk about this in mainstream media? This should be talked about in the classroom. In the classrooms all across the country. It's a disservice that they don't talk about this. Did you have to dig and search? No, put this under the microscope. Can you imagine? Dog saliva might be a lot more dangerous than we're aware of. The doctors themselves telling us they don't know much about it. That sounds like something that's too dangerous to take the risk. And then you got diseases popping up that you've never heard of, popping up all over the place. And notice how these viruses that pop up, they're always zoonotic. All those viruses that been popping up over the past 3-4 years, they're all zoonotic. Well, where are they coming from? Oh, a rat, a gerbil, a prairie dog. No. Stop blaming these healthy animals out here that are not dropping dead like dogs are. No, stop blaming those animals. And even if they come from those animals, the transmitter is still the dog. How are they getting to people? It's because the dog run around eating their excrement. No matter how you look at it, dogs need to go. They gotta go. This is overboard, man. Right? Esmeralda, shout out. Dion in the building. Joe Maybe in the building. What's going on, man? I love our position right now with this crusade. We're strong right now. I feel like we're starting to influence journalists, right? Different media outlets. We're having influence, most definitely. You're going to see more and more of this in the future. More and more journalists, media outlets taking a stand. It's admirable to see people standing up for something that's right. So I hope we can infect the people with that type of bug. Michelle Parks, shout out. Michelle is a member. Yeah, shout out. I missed that on the last live stream. Michelle Parks, shout out to Michelle Parks, who has become a member of the channel. Got Luke in the house. We got Sticky Octo in the building. Equator 7, big shout out. Hope you all have a very clean sanitized, germ-free weekend ahead of you, bacteria-free, no viruses, no barking, no excrement, no urine, and definitely no saliva. Right? Shout out to Atlas, Star, and Perkelly in the building. Thank you all for joining me in this brief live stream. Hope to see you all back here on the next as we continue with this crusade.